I oftentimes think about how, the women in my family were artists that maybe didn't get the opportunity to see that through, but were able to cultivate these spaces within their homes to be who, the creative artists that they were. My mom, she was really into interior design. I just remember her always, redecorating the house late at night or painting something, making jewelry or just, things like that.
Coming to you live, directly in Chicago, Illinois. Here with the real ones.
I started making music in, I guess officially 2020. I mean, my introduction to music was growing up in the church when I was a young kid. And I was in a church band with my cousins and our youth pastor. And that was my first introduction to music. I left the church and I moved to Chicago. I'm originally from Texas. Just a lot of norteño and cumbia and listening to my grandparents and their bolero. Spent a lot of time at just my tia's houses or my mom's house and just, listening to them blast music while they're cleaning the house or exercising, I think the soul and intimacy of the music. And I oftentimes think about how, the women in my family were artists that maybe didn't get the opportunity to see that through, but were able to cultivate these spaces within their homes to be who, the creative artists that they were. My mom, she was really into interior design. I just remember her always, redecorating the house late at night or painting something, making jewelry or just, things like that. Yeah, I moved to Chicago, went on to graduate and do my thing, go to school. And I didn't sing for 10 years. I met Eddie Burns and we started making stuff and we met through a mutual friend and it was through some community organizing work. I remember he was giving remote Logic lessons and we had a call on FaceTime and he was showing me how to use Logic. A few months after that, we linked up and Quisiera, which is a track on the album, was the first thing we made that really was the indicator that there was something special. It just happened very naturally. I'm just really grateful because I feel Eddie just kind of, gave me the space to reconnect with my voice again, in a way where I don't think I had felt confident in doing so or just secure in myself to do that again. And so, making this album was a very personal, journey. I held on to this music for a while. I don't think there was it wasn't necessarily I'm ready moment. It was more so my friends were when are you putting this stuff out? You've just been sitting on this for about a year. But I think I've just had a lot of time to sit with myself. So I feel, pretty rooted in who I am and what I believe in. And while I wasn't making music, I was, a practicing visual artist. And, that really gave me the time and space to cultivate my visual language. I've always been really interested in just the aesthetics of television, specifically Mexican telenovelas and just advertisements. And I guess being a bit more critical about what representation means in media. Well, when I was in college, I was just doing that just through photoshopping myself into Herbalife ads or making a fake Primer Impacto interview. Yeah, I think I've always been inspired by just ideas around domesticity and the nuclear family in American media, specifically in the 70s. I don't know why that time period or the 60s and 70s. I really like the color palette and just design then was just felt very refreshing and warm and timeless at the same time. Yeah, I think just drawing inspiration from all the things kind of lended itself to the music. And also inserting ourselves in those spaces. For the Fajas video, I was drawing inspiration from the Brady Bunch. And, also just thinking about how I'm not seeing none of my people in that show, and it's also okay, how can I disrupt this idea of a nuclear family in a way that is absurd and, can call attention, which is, utilizing the snake or the gag ball and, things like that. I was a makeup artist. I was doing makeup for different artists in Chicago, Shawnee Des. I think she was one of the first people. Luna Day, really close friends of mine. I got to do makeup for Ravina way back and also Amare when she played Pitchfork. I always had an inkling that I wanted to, pursue music, and I really appreciated being able to be behind the scenes and see, the making of, a show or a record, and now being in that position. I think having that experience prepared me for this. I've only been honest with what I've been making, and Yeah, I think I'm like actively still trying to like understand what it means to be perceived, you know, like, and it be like in such a public facing position, you know, where it's like, it is my voice and it is my face versus like making visual things you kind of get to hide behind sometimes in a way, you know. But I'm really grateful. Like, it's so cool that I get to just like genuinely connect with people online and like, you know, people have been so supportive. Like people wanting to see me live or people asking when my album's coming out or if I'm gonna play a show or just like having people tell me where they're tuning in from, that's kind of crazy to me. Short-term goals, to just have the ability and space to continue being myself and making my art. Yeah, I have like an album trilogy idea that I would like to actualize in the next 3 to 5 years. Go on tour, that would be cool. A nice, you know, European, Japan tour. That would be really fun. Yeah, travel more and like get to play this music live. Flora Purim or Marcos Valle or Azimuth, Cortex or Sandra Dessaw. 3 songs I have on repeat right now. Lost Angel by Cleo Soul. Under Control by The Internet. Yeah, dude, I've been running that album back. Fire. Like, I'm just in college all over again, and it's amazing. Honestly, anything by Cleo Soul. Like, that album, the one where she's in the water, one Chicago song I have on repeat. Walking Cycle by The Juju Exchange, and Amore by Le Son du Cosmos. Who is a real one in my life? I mean, there's so many real ones in my life. All of my friends in my community, my sister, she is a real one. I'd say my sister. Shout out to my sister, Kimberly. That is a real one in my life who has seen me since the very beginning.